Rocket Lab, a brand new SPAC and maybe the next candidate for a new generation of SpaceX. As you know, SpaceX is this absolutely genius company by Elon Musk that started very early as one of the first private space companies that shoot up rockets and make them land again, which was revolutionary, okay? And actually, Rocket Lab is not doing that yet. But let us start from the beginning. So Rocket Lab is a private space company. They are shooting up rockets to bring up satellites into low orbit. And they are, as many other companies, decided to come on the public market. To be precise, they are merging with Vector Acquisition Corporation, or under the ticker symbol VACQU. You can actually look it up on NASDAQ. They are already trading. You know, on the news itself, the stock even shoot up from $10 to $14 just on the news that, you know, another space company is joining the public markets. And I'm super excited. I'm very bullish and having a big bet with Virgin Galactic on the space industry. To see more and more companies joining this industry is absolutely fantastic, because I think this has, you know, is so much potential. There's so much need to send, you know, satellites up into space, specifically to set up, you know, very big, you know, constellations of satellites. So we are seeing, like, for example, SpaceX is shooting up their Starlink system to make sure that everyone, even in remote areas or specifically in remote areas, have great internet. Now, what is in for Rocket Lab? Like, for first, you know, you can imagine that the space industry is quite cost intensive. So they can tap into great money, and in fact, they are getting, you know, with this merger directly $320 million plus a pipe of $470 million. They are actually valued after the deal at $4.1 billion, a quite hefty valuation considering they want to be cash flow positive only in 3 years and making revenue by, you know, sort of the range of $1 billion in 2026. So still a huge bet on the future, but what makes Rocket Lab quite interesting and different is how they approach things and what they want to do with the money. So let's dive into that. So if you are looking into the website of Rocket Lab, which is rocketlabusa.com, you actually see that they are having a punchline which is quite nice for space, you know, endeavors, right? I mean, frequent and reliable launch is here. 104 satellites launched already. It's not launched rockets, it's satellites launched, okay? Big difference, guys, okay? Then basically their most important product is a small vehicle that launch, you know, not too many satellites, and it's basically called Electron. And the new vehicle that they are launching, which is, you know, for bigger shipments to space and lower orbit, will be called Neutron. So quite interesting naming here as well. But as you can see, you can have a look later on by yourself. They have a couple of locations, you know, Long Beach, Auckland, Mahia, Wallops Island, and Sinclair Interplanetary, and Shazam. It's not like they have like those locations exclusively, but, you know, those are the locations that, you know, they use frequently depending on from where they get the satellites from, where is the best, you know, way, because, you know, the Earth is turning. So it seems that it's important where they start to reach specific areas of the world, okay? Then, you know, they have a lot of in-house engineering, which is also fantastic for such a company. And, you know, you can look through those different kind of rockets here. As I said, this is their main product called Electron, which, you know, launched a couple of times already, 19 actually, which launched 104 satellites. So you can say about like 5 satellites are being launched per those launches. And I think, you know, it's interesting how the space industry got the turn when actually Elon Musk came with the idea of having reusable rockets. I mean, this is actually the only invention that makes all of this happen, right? I mean, also Rocket Lab are using, and they are saying, it's the only reusable small launch vehicle worldwide, so they having their niche product. Now, before we go into the conclusion of this video, let's dive quickly into the stock, because you can clearly see where the announcement was, and just because of the announcement, this stock went up 40% almost, and since then, we lost about 16%. We are currently trading about $12.7 per share. So if you are buying in now, at some point when the transaction is complete, your shares will, just automatically go into Rocket Lab shares, and then you are a fantastic and hopefully happy shareholder of Rocket Lab. If I'm personally investing into Rocket Lab, let's dive into the conclusion. So in the conclusion of this video, obviously I would like to emphasize that don't forget there is just 5 days left for the 10% discount on the masterclass, okay? X10 masterclass with the code 10space10, you will get 10% off. Not only you get 10% off, but also you will buy in further before the price will rise. So in the end you will get like 30 or 40% off. So make sure you check it out if you are interested into learning about stocks, having lifetime access to my Discord chat and much more things. Huge value. Check it out. Space industry. I mean, space industry is so interesting. I mean, I can spend hours and hours just reading about these fascinating things about space, how we create space stations in the future, right? How we will bring and create space tourism. I think this will be the first part, right? The space tourism. Then you have like this kind of logistic companies like Rocket Lab, SpaceX. You have other companies like, for example, Virgin Orbit as well. All of these companies are actually, developing ways to bring the kilo price per space flight, to bring space items up into space much cheaper. And this is very important, because as cheaper it gets, as better for our future into space. And now you have to consider that, building something in space, on the moon, on the Mars, requires a lot and lots of logistical master steps, and those are actually taking right now as we speak. And we see much more launches, we see much more plans, different plans, much more companies going into that. And I absolutely love that, because I think it's for us as humans super important to not only have every bet on one planet, but actually, extend to many planets in our galaxy. This sounds maybe crazy, but I think in just couple of years, people will really understand how important that is. And that's why I think if you are betting on space, and that we will do exactly, this expansion of humanity into space, and you want to be involved, I think that Rocket Lab should be, one of your investments. It's not my personal investment, because I look for consumer companies. So Virgin Galactic, for example, is a consumer-oriented company, which I understand and which I really can clearly see the benefits of. I don't say that Rocket Lab cannot be successful. I think they can be successful, and what they have done already prove that they have a great team and a great product apparently. I want to be very focused in my investments, and specifically that's why I focus on consumer orientated companies, okay? And that's why I believe that if you are looking into those same companies like me, Rocket Lab would be a pass as of now. But still, if you're betting on the space industry in general, then you can go definitely for Rocket Lab. I think it's something that is quite cheap if you're looking what the revenue, what the perspective is there. And don't forget, there's currently a little bit still a hype on SPAC. So if it's now the right time, you never know, right? But I think it's super important to see that those companies are existing, and those companies will come more and more to the markets, and the SPAC industry showing us that, more and more companies can come earlier to the market, and it's more about future revenue and future perspective rather than it's what's now delivered already. So you pay quite, by fundamental or traditional fundamentals, quite big prices for this kind of companies. Other than that, you know, I think that's absolutely insane that we are talking about space companies right now going public. I mean, just a couple of years before, it would be absolutely insane to think, you know, oh, there's a rocket company, I might invest into that. This is something very similar that, you know, about a decade ago or 2 decades ago, when the internet was launched, and people said like, why we should order something online, how it comes to us, and you know, and over the last 20 decades, everything is online. I mean, I cannot imagine a life without Amazon, and I think in 20 years time, we cannot imagine a life without all of the space companies.